What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, coach of your Montreal Milotic, bringing you our draft analysis for the UBL. We are the champions of the low-tier version of the UBL. I can't speak today. And we're going to be, well, participating in the main league this time, and I'm pretty excited for it. But this is a draft analysis I kind of want to put into a different direction. I want to really talk very heavily about the details and talk about why I took what I took and be very specific. All the time I'll just be like, oh, this is awesome, it does this, 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 and this. I really want to go in depth a bit more. So let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments, of course. And also do me a favor, leave a like, and well, commenting does really help the channel. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already if you're new. I will post a ton of Pokemon content. I'm sure you guys would enjoy it. And just so you guys know, I do plan on having, well, a bit goal for the new year. This is a video I'm recording in the new year, and my goal is to, for every like on my videos, especially in January, we're going to be really focusing on this. If you like, I will be doing 2 push-ups in every comment. I'll be doing 5 sit-ups, and I'll be all posted on my Twitter, just as proof that I've actually done it. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be a points league for the UBL, and I'm really excited for it because it's a league that has a very low budget. It has a very, very low budget. 110 for a guaranteed locked-in 11 Pokemon. You have to take 11 Pokemon, and that means you have an average of, what, 10 points per Pokemon, which is, to me, pretty low. It just feels low. But hey, it is what it is. The highest ceiling for points is at 19, which to me is very expensive, and a Pokemon like Urshifu Single Strike is actually banned. But Dragapult is allowed, which seems kind of backwards to me, but smack my mic there. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, it just seems backwards to me, but hey, I'm not one to judge, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I like the 4th pick overall, and I was pretty excited to use something that I'd never used before. I was looking at things like Zeraora, Garchomp as the big ones, and I ended up going with a Pokemon that I feel like I have not used in forever, since at least Gen 6. That's Garchomp, okay? If I can actually show it on my screen, there we go. Garchomp. Garchomp is good. It is good. It's a top 10 Pokemon. It is something that I personally don't really like, though. In general, I think it's overrated. But I will not deny that it has its usefulness. With Scale Shot being able to boost its speed, with Swords Dance being able to boost its attack, with powerful offensive moves and Outrage, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Fire Fang, Poison Jab, Iron Tail, Iron Claw, Iron Head, that's the one. I'm able to really break through teams. It can be defensive with Rough Skin Rocky Helmet. It can be a really good check to fire types, to Victini if it's not running specifically Glaciate or even Dazzling Gleam, which means it has to be mixed or special. And it gets access to Stealth Rocks as well as a ground type, which is an advantage that it has over Zygarde. And it can't set up, obviously it's not Dragon Dance, but it can still set up really effectively, and its speed at 102 is phenomenal in the current meta. In Galar decks, it's really, really good. It gives it a huge advantage compared to something like Nat decks, where it is more of a neutral point in it. And its attack stat, I think it's like 145 or something, is insane. It's just a really good Pokemon all around for what it can do. Definitely one of the top 10 in Draft League, and I think it's a Pokemon I'm gonna have a lot of fun using, but I need to build around it correctly. Moving on though to our next mon, I was really hoping for the combination of Clef and Scizor at this wheel, and both of them were available. And I had a choice, do I go Clef or do I go Scizor? Clef is obviously the better fairy, arguably the best fairy in the format outside of something like Coco or whatever. Or do I go Scizor, which is, you know, not one of the best steel types, but it's still a really, really good steel type. Which one do I go with? And I think I made a mistake here. I ended up going with Clef. And the reason I'm saying I made a mistake is because what Clef can do can be approximated by quite a bit. What Scizor can do is not really possible to be approximated by quite a lot. Yes, Steel and Bug is a type that is shared by a couple other Pokemon, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But what it provides with Bullet Punch, with Recovery, the fact that it's a resist to Ice is really nice. And I think the resist to Ice is more important than the immunity to Dragon, because there are other Pokemon, other fairy types that are immune to Dragon that I could have gone for lower prices. Sylveon, or Clefairy, or Aromatisse, or whatever. But I went with Clef here, and Clef still has its advantages, going with like Teleport, Personal Momentum into Garchomp, giving me Wish support, Aromatherapy in case I get burnt or paralyzed or whatever. Giving me access to Moonblast and Flamethrower and Ice Beam and whatever, all the coverage in the world I can need with setup options. Giving me Unaware to take hits from these Pokemon that are setting up, or Magikarp from Pokemon that are going to set up hazards or Toxic Spike, or try and status me as like crazy. This is an option for those things. And I feel decent about Clef's utility with like Knockoff and Icy Wind as well. So in general, Clef can do a lot of good things. I just think that I made a mistake by going with this over Scizor, and I got punished by it because the person who had the first overall pick, they also wanted Clef and Scizor to pair with Dragapult. And they didn't get it, unfortunately, for them. But unfortunately for me, they got one piece of that, which is going to be the Scizor. So I had to kind of go on the fly here, making adaptation to my build here. And at this point, you're going to notice I'm going to spend a lot of money really fast. My reason for that is because if I can make a team where I have 5 Pokemon that fit really well together, I can just adjust around them on the margins, then I can have a really good team against basically everyone. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on here. So my next Pokemon has a good matchup against a lot of teams. Really, the teams that doesn't have a good matchup against are going to be teams with a really powerful physical ground type a really powerful physical ghost type or physical dark type. That's going to be Slowking. Galar Slowking is here. And with regen, it's insane. With an Assault Vest, it can take basically any special hit, and even ice type attacks, which means this is basically one of my ice resists, which is funny considering it is neutral to ice. It has a really good coverage. It's got a good coverage on its stab sides with poison and psychic. It's got access to flamethrower. It's got access to moves like Surf and Scald, Grass Knot, access to Power Gem, I believe. Future Sight, it gets Focus Blast too. Really the only type of coverage it doesn't get is like ground moves and then like electric moves, and that's really it, which is kind of crazy. So what am I going to do with Slowking? Well, having it is an amazing fighting type check is awesome. Now I can have a bit of freedom with the fact that I have Clef and Galar Slowking to be able to draft Pokemon that may not be necessarily weak to fighting, but just don't appreciate fighting type attack. And I do need to have a Pokemon that can handle knockoff really well. I do need to have a Pokemon that can handle some ghost type attacks pretty well. And that's really important to what I can be building towards. So my next Pokemon is going to be something that can really pressure quite a bit and can do a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats, and for only 13 points is a steal in my eyes. That's going to be Silvally. Now it was early. I'll give you that. It was a really early time to grab Silvally, but I just could not let it slide further. If it slid, then I wouldn't get it. And the Pokemon I wanted next actually could not be taken, or was unlikely to be taken, by everyone above because it either had Steel types or Grass types. You guys can lean on what I'm going to be grabbing next. But Silvally does what I need it to do, which is be unpredictable. It can be any type of set I want to be, whether it's physically offensive, specially offensive, supportive, defensive, setup, whatever. It's a pivot with Parting Shot or U-turn. It can be any type there is. I can have a Pokemon that's going to be resisting or immune to Ghost, or a Pokemon that's going to be able to not be effective really by knockoff because I have the plates on, or the drives on, whatever you're going to call them. I feel really solid about having Silvally on this team, even though it is a reach, an early time to get it. But keep in mind, it's either round 4 or round 5 I'm getting it. There's no point for me to grab it round 5. It just made no sense because the Pokemon I wanted round 4, or the next Pokemon I'm taking, I could wait. And then I'm basically waiting to the end of round 6, which is basically round 7. So it's basically around where you would think to get Silvally. So it makes sense for me to grab it here. I'm happy with Silvally. I think it's going to be pairing really well with my team, and I'm hoping that I can be one of the MVPs, one of the unsung heroes, because I've had a lot of fun with Silvally in the past. My absolute favorite set is the Swords Dance set with Flame Charge, with like multi-attack and then one other coverage move, and you're able to just basically win a game. So that is going to be my hope with Silvally. Moving on to our next mon, I said before, it is going to be Ferrothorn. I don't like this Pokemon. I think it's really overrated, and for 14 points, I'm like, why did I spend so much money on a Steel type? Well, I spent so much money on a Steel type because this thing can come to a lot of weaks unless my opponent has an amazing Fire type, which also happens to get like Ice coverage, or Fairy coverage, or Dragon coverage, or Garchomp. And if that's the case, I have Silvally, which can handle those things. So that's why I have it, and I think in general, it takes a lot of pressure off of Clefable and Garchomp to run rocks. I can run Spikes. I have access to Iron Bars with Rocky Helmet, with Knockoff, and Gyro Ball, and Leaf Seed, all these annoying moves, which can cause a lot of problems for my opponent's team, and really help set up an endgame for Garchomp, or Clef, or even Silvally. Who knows? So I feel really confident about what Ferrothorn can do, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it as a Pokemon. Now, does that mean I'm going to use it well? We'll see. It's my first time ever using a Ferrothorn. Ever. And if this comes to, let's say, I think the season's 9 weeks long, if it comes to 6 weeks, I'll say that's a W. And that's saying something because my whole purpose, like I said before, was to bring a team of like 5 Pokemon that paired well together and then make adjustments on the margins in that 6th slot. If I'm only bringing Ferrothorn 6 out of 9 weeks, maybe that's not the best strategy to have. So we'll see how it goes. But that's going to be Ferrothorn. Moving on to our next mon, it is going to be Raichu. Now, Raichu fulfills a role that I wanted to have when I had the team of Clef, Garchomp, and Scizor. And that's a Pokemon that resists flying, but also is immune to electric type attacks. So that's great. It's also not weak to ice, like Garchomp is. So it's going to be a secondary option against Pokemon like a Tapu Koko, for example, or a Pokemon that gets access to Bolt Beam coverage, like a Porygon. And it gets knockoff. It gets access to Nasty Plot, and Encore, and Nuzzle, and Surf, and Thunderbolt, and Volt Switch, and Endeavor, and Extreme Speed, and Grass Knot, all these different coverage moves, which is great. And that's what Raichu does. It can do quite a bit of things, a jack of all trades, be supportive and be offensive, and a team that is as slow as mine right now, with my speed capping off base 102, having him on at 110 as my fastest Pokemon, to me, that's not the best, but it's passable. It's serviceable, and that's what Raichu can do. It is my fastest Pokemon, and we'll see if that's going to be a helping thing for me or a hindrance. So we'll see how it goes. Our next mon, though, is going to be a Crawdon. Now, Crawdon to me at 9 points was just... I can't believe this thing was only 9 points. It makes no sense to me. This thing belongs in the top half of drafts. I see it being worth 11 points in a, 17-point draft? Being at 9 points in a, 19-point draft? That, to me, is criminal. But we'll take it. It is a Pokemon that's going to hit extremely hard, adaptability boosted, knockoff, crunches, Aqua Jets, Crab Hammers, Liquidations, whatever, is going to be insane. Plus a Dragon Dance boost, or a Life Orb, or Swords Dance, or whatever, is going to be crazy. And I have Trick Room access with my Slowking, so we'll see if that's going to be something that I can take advantage of. But Crawdon does have quite a few weaknesses, and they are familiar weaknesses. It is weak to fighting, but I do have Slowking, and I do have Clef. Fairy, I do have Slowking, and there's also Electric, which I do have Garchomp for, and a couple other types. But hey, we're gonna rock with this and see what we can do, and hopefully Crawdon can be one of the MVPs of the team, because I've enjoyed using Crawdon in the past in NCP. Now, this is not a water type for me though. This is going to be an offensive dark type. My water type, that I have to bring later on. I need a good water type, have to, just to be able to take hits from opposing threats, and I'm going to be targeting another water type Pokemon later on in the draft, just to kind of round the team out a bit more. Moving on though, our next mon is going to be Butterfree. Yeah, Butterfree is on this team, which is insane to think about, but Butterfree is here, and originally this was a Charger Bug, and if, trust me, if I wanted Butterfree, I would have gone the very last pick with it, trust me, but I said, you know what, I picked up Charger Bug, D-Ray really wanted it, so we did the old swap. He picked up Butterfree in the last round and traded it to me for the Charger Bug, which, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. Butterfree is a Pokemon that is really cool because for 1 point you get Quiver Dance, which is Tinted Lens boosted for certain attacks like Hurricane or Bug Buzz or whatever, and I get Comp Out as Sleep Powder too, which is awesome. This Pokemon, did you know that a +1, a Modest Nature Butterfree can actually OHKO a Skarmory with Hurricane if it's Tinted Lens boosted, which is insane. But hey, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself for week 1. Moving on though, what does Butterfree do? Just U-turn, decent coverage, recovery, immunity to ground. That's really it. Moving on, our next mon is going to be a Vanillix. Now, Vanillix gives me a special breaker. I need a Pokemon that can just break on the special side. And as good as Raichu is, it's not that strong. As good as something like Clefable is, it's not that strong without a Life Orb. As good as Slowking is, same deal. But Vanillix specs Blizzard is insane. Specs Freeze Dry, insane. It gets access like Flash Cannon, I believe, and I think Water Pulse, but that's really it for the coverage on the special side. But you don't really need much else. The real reason though why I wanted this after that though was Veil. I get access to Veil with a Pokemon like Garchomp, which can set up and win. With Clefable, which can set up and win. With Slowking and Crawdon, and even Silvally to an extent can set up and win. So having Veil is, I think, really important, and in general, just having a powerful Ice-type Pokemon is going to be awesome to break down those opposing Dragon types, those opposing Grass types that are going to be really problematic, and even those opposing Water types because I have Freeze Dry. So those are really good things to kind of break down the Pokemon that are going to be checking Garchomp, or doing their best to check Garchomp. Moving on, our next mon is going to be Rapidash. Now, Rapidash at 3 points to me was a steal. Very happy with it. It's got 105 base speed. It's got really decent bulk with access to boots. It can do a lot of good things. It's a fire immunity, which is amazing for something like Ferrothorn. And on top of that, it gets access to something like Morning Sun for recovery, Will-O-Wisp for just support options, decent coverage, Play Rough, Mega Horn, high horsepower, really gets close combat or something along those lines, a fighting move in general. And then it gets access to, obviously, its fire moves too, including Mystical Fire, which is one of my favorite moves in the game. So really good Pokemon here, can support a lot. If this thing and Butterfree come more than, let's say, 3 times, then I'd be surprised. But it is a Pokemon that can do a good bit if I needed to, if I have to deal with like a very decently fast fire type, something like a Darmanitan, for example. Yes, it can continuously go for U-turns on me, but I can Morning Sun back up, and I do outspeed it, and I have a way to make it not be able to go for fire moves against me. So it is an example of something that I might bring the Rapidash to a game for. Our next mon and final one is going to be our actual water type and our actual flying type, a Mantine. Now, Mantine is... it's fine. In general, it's a decent Pokemon. It gets some really good options for support. It gets Haze, it gets access to Roost, of course. I believe it's Defog as well. It's super especially bulky, but what I really wanted for was number 1, a water immunity, so I don't have to rely on Clef to be Magikarp to take Scalds, or maybe switch in a Garchomp and have Garchomp get burned and take a water move. This also gives me a ground immunity, which is huge for my team considering I have a Galar Slowking. Yeah, I should probably make sure I have better ground immunities or answers than just a Mantine and a Butterfree, but hey, beggars can be choosers, especially with the amount of budget we had for this draft. It gives me access to Pokemon that hits really hard, especially in the rain, and there, I think, was 2 rain teams that were developing. It gives me Scald, gives me Air Slash, gives me Ice Beam, which are really the main coverage moves I'm going to be using. Toxic is a way that this thing does a lot of damage, and a 70 speed. 70 speed isn't bad at all. It speed ties the Butterfree, but 70 speed in general just, it gives me what I need, which is a Pokemon between like Vanillix and Clef. So that's really it. But yeah, Mantine, decent mon, Swift Swim, Water Absorb, really all I need, especially defensive as hell, and can take a lot of hits. That's what I want in a Pokemon, and right now, looking at my team, you see there's very clear lines. This is the Pokemon that are going to be offensive, these are the Pokemon that are going to be defensive, and these are Pokemon that are going to be pivots. The Ferrothorn, the Silvally, the Slowking, Clef, even Raichu to an extent, and Rapidash and Mantine can all be pivots, and then getting me into my big threats, my bombs that are going to start wrecking things. I feel like this team, though, does lack a lot of immediate offense, though. I have Crawdon, and I have Garchomp, and I have Vanillix. That's really it. And I feel like I need a bit more than that to be able to really pressure and break teams. So we'll see how it goes. I think Haze and Taunt might be a really big problem for my team, but again, we shall see. So guys, that's going to be it for my team for the UBL. Make sure to let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. Of course, like I said before, make sure to leave a like and comment. For every like, I will do 2 push-ups, and every comment, I will do 5 sit-ups. That is my fitness journey I'm going to try and get, and to aim for a more healthy and better 2022. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to all that great stuff. Follow the other coaches in the UBL, and check me out on Twitter too. It's linked in the description, and I will see you all next time.